We'll open up with Coach Fickle and talking about being here for one day and kind of your experience to this point. Being in South Florida this time of year, very different, especially on the weather side from Columbus. But what has the first day been like for you all in South Florida?
I don't know. We didn't notice as much of a difference when we got in. It was a little rainy, a little cloudy. Maybe it wasn't snow, but very fortunate. Actually, I'm lucky enough to actually recruit down here, so I kind of had a little bit of an idea what to expect. And, you know, these guys do too. Obviously, Ryan's from down here, but we're excited. You know, it's anytime you get out of your home, go down, have some good time, relax a little bit. You know, I think all these guys are excited about it. And for me, this is the first time I've ever been to the Orange Bowl. I think I've fortunate enough to be in maybe 9 BCS games and never been to the Orange Bowl. So really, really exciting for me, for these guys, I think, and for all of our families.
Great. We'll open up to questions. We've got 2 microphones. I'll start over here on the left in the front row.
Yeah, Coach. Obviously, Coach Meyer dropped the news yesterday that Noah's not with you guys at this point. Is there anything more you can add to that? Is there any hope in your mind that he could still get down here and play in this game?
Well, there's always hope. You know, obviously he's dealing with some things, and you know, it's one of those things that we got to continue to move on. These guys know that, and you know, kind of had some of those situations. And you know, CJ's been around here a long time, so he's been through a lot of these situations where something happens and a guy goes down or next man up. So. Obviously, we'd love Noah. We wish for the best. We hope we get a chance to get him back down here. But for right now, we got to continue to move on.
Stay on the left, second row.
Luke, obviously, you guys didn't play the way you wanted to down the stretch. What have you done to fix the problem?
Just keep working. I mean, that's the best thing we know how to do. And you know, there's no magic to all the things that we do. You know, we get better at what it is that we do. These guys every day get better. They work well together. That's the biggest thing, I think. You know, there's not one pinpoint thing where you can say, hey, we have to do this, we have to do this, we have to do this. The reality is we got to all work together, and that's why football is the greatest team sport known to man. You know, people can point fingers and look at stats and say, you're this and this and you're this and this, and the reality is there's 11 guys out there, and they're all responsible to work together, whether it's pass, run, doesn't matter. So the ability for us to continue to get better and work together, I think, is the biggest thing we got to do.
You've said repeatedly that you'd rather be criticized than praised. Given the way the defense has played, the criticism that you've come under, I mean, how do you deal with that?
We don't listen to start with. You know, sometimes, you know, my kids are at an age where I don't have to worry about it as much because they don't, but they're getting to that age where they start to ask you questions. And I got my own son that says, well, Dad, maybe you should do this, maybe you should do this. He's only 11, but the reality is you can't let those things affect you. Like I said, you know, for us, and we talk about it all the time in Columbus, sometimes the hardest thing to handle is praise. And then criticism is just one of those things that makes you kind of bear down and work a little bit harder and make sure you're trying to fix those things. But if you let that stuff affect you and change your mentality and your outlook on what you're trying to do, that's when it's getting the best of you. So, you know, whether we've had problems, we address them, we continue to work to get better, and we handle it on a day-to-day issue.
We're going to go on the inside aisle, about 7 rows back.
Coach, when you look at Clemson on film, do they remind you of anybody that you've played? And, you know, when you look at their athletes that they have on the offensive side of the ball, you know, what do you think one key would be in stopping them?
Well, I don't know that we've seen probably as many of the you know, I guess, outstanding receivers. I don't know that we've seen a crew like that, you know, throughout the entire season. Probably offensively, we see a bunch of that. You know, similar stuff to what they do, maybe from our offense, is probably the closest thing that we see. Now, maybe not with as much of the vertical game and some of the size of the wideouts, but that's going to be a challenge to us all. But I think the tempo and those kinds of things, the best picture we can get is probably from our own offense.
Ryan, you're from this part of the world. Did you know about Sammy Watkins when you were in high school, or, you know, did you guys ever cross paths?
Yeah, I knew about him a little bit, but we really never crossed paths. Being from this state, you always hear about some of the good players, and I always heard about him from not being that far in Fort Myers. So, yeah, I heard about him a few times, but we really never met each other.
On the front row over here on the right.
CJ, can you also talk a little bit about Sammy and if there's anyone else like him that you've faced this year?
I don't think so. I think he's like one of the fastest guys in college football. Great athlete, you know, playmaking ability is out of the roof. So we'll have our hands full, you know, containing him. But I think our coaching staff will do a good job putting us in positions to make plays.
We'll go to Tim all the way out on the left.
Coach, when everyone knows what Taj Boyd can do, the stats, the numbers, he makes all the throws, obviously a two-dimensional kind of kid. When you look at him, when you have a month to get ready for someone like that, do you deviate from how you would, I don't know, ordinarily prep for somebody of that nature when you have a month, or do you try to keep it as normal as possible, I guess, when you're putting together a plan for how to contain him?
Well, the biggest, I think, deviation is just the time that you have. I don't know that you ever really go away from what it is that you do, getting better at the things that you do. And, I guess you have a lot more time to evaluate him and to watch him and to try to think of the things that, you can do to give yourself a better chance. But the reality is, you got to do what you do, and you got to continue to get better at those kinds of things. We know he's got all the ability to make. I mean, we recruited him too, so we know exactly who he is and what he is, and have watched him. And sometimes you have that much time. Sometimes you start evaluating and trying to find too many things, and then putting your guys into situations where you're trying to be perfect at what at every little thing. When they do this, we got to do this. And the reality is, what it comes down to is guys going out there and playing ball, playing fast, understanding what they're going to do. They've got a month too, so I'm sure you're going to see a few new wrinkles and some different things. So it's going to have to be that ability, in that tempo and in that pace for our guys to look up, to get a good picture of what's going on, and then to react and play. But as far as what he can do, I think these guys got a pretty good idea. We face a guy that's similar in Braxton Miller on a daily basis. So we know the threats of both the arm and the legs.
We'll go over here in the second row on the left.
Coach, right here. Reports that Von Bell is going to be starting. Can you elaborate a little bit more into the decision, why that you guys might have gone with Von?
Yeah, I think Von right now is listed as our nickel, just with some injuries and some issues that we're dealing with. That he's been there all year, really. Just hasn't had an opportunity to play as much, and that's probably one of those things when you've got some time, that you got a freshman guy that you can get in there and get more reps throughout those 3 weeks of bull prep. Then it's just a matter of time before that guy continues to get more and more playing time for us. And I think this will probably be the first week that you'll see him get as much of playing time as we like.
Let's go all the way to the right on the outside aisle.
Luke, as a follow-up to the question you were just asked, is an advantage at all for you guys in preparations because your offense is similar to what Clemson's offense is?
Well, I think it is. I mean, it helps us. There's some things we can do in practice that, it's really tough to manage tempo of a lot of these offenses, and Clemson in particular. But when your offense can go out there and give you that, maybe not the specific same plays, the same blocking schemes and things, but the ability for your guys to get a good feel and a good look at that tempo and those things that take you out of your rhythm, our offense can do that for us. And I think that's probably, hopefully, something that is really, really going to help us as it comes to Friday.
Front row all the way to the left.
Luke, what is the status of Bradley Roby? Is he full go, 100% ready to go for the game?
No, he's still rehabbing right now, so we're not sure exactly how he'll be, and we kind of take it day to day.
Provided he does play, there's a potential for a fun matchup, provided it works out with him and Sammy. And as a fan of football, is that something maybe you'd like to see a little bit, those two guys kind of going head-to-head a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's what you guys would love to see too. But be able to switch guys from sideline to sideline and match guys is really a difficult thing. I mean, they're not just going to leave him on one side so that we can, maybe stick Bradley Roby or whoever to match up. And then in those tempo things, it's really difficult. But there's a lot of matchups that are going to be out there that are going to be really exciting to see. That obviously would be one. But whichever side he ends up on, there's going to be an interesting matchup.
3 rows back on the inside aisle.
With the situation with Noah, you say got to move forward and guys have to step up. In your mind, who are some of the guys you'd like to see kind of, if he is not able to play, kind of step up and take over that role?
Well, there'll be 2 guys that'll probably have to help us right there, in Jamal Marcus and Steve Miller. And those are guys that probably haven't seen nearly as much action throughout the year, but have been guys that have practiced every single day, taking those reps, and that's a part of the game. And whether we like it or we don't like it, these guys all know it. What that does, it just puts a little bit more heat on the guys that are your leaders to say, hey, come on, let's continue to move forward. And those guys are here for a reason. They're on scholarship for a reason, and it's time for them. When one man goes down, sometimes it's a chance for you might find out a little bit more about some of those guys. So that's the exciting thing for those guys and for ourselves. It's an opportunity.
Front row here on the left.
Luke, is Armani Reeves still the guy if Bradley can't go?
Yeah, Armani's been the guy that's probably played the most for us.
And with Vaughn at nickel, is Tyvis hurt, or is Tyvis moving to the other safety spot?
Tyvis has been playing the other safety spot, so you're fortunate enough when you got a guy like CJ. It's been here for, what, 6, 7, how many years? Feels like it at times, but been here for 5 years, that you can take some of those guys and put some more stuff on their shoulders and say, hey, we need you to play free, we need you to play strong, hey, we need you to drop down and play Mike linebacker on some situations or something. But when you got guys like that, oh, wait, we didn't tell you about that. That's going to happen today. No swap on it, but anyway, we'll get to that. When you got guys like that you put some heat on and you put some pressure on because they've been there, that's a part of the game.
Next question. Go right here in the second row on the left.
Has the Roby injury been more serious than you thought? Has it involved surgery or anything like that?
I don't know. You'd have to ask the doctors. I mean, there's a lot of injuries that it's not an exact science. So at one point in time in my life, I thought about going that route, and maybe I'd be able to help you out a little bit better. But I bailed on that after 4 years of college and said I'm not going to go that medical route. So I can't speak real intelligently on exactly what's going to happen and what he needs. But I always tell those guys, a mind is a powerful thing, and a doctor can tell you one thing or a trainer can tell you one thing, and what's in your mind and how well you can heal and what you can do is probably as powerful as anything. So we don't really know.
The idea, though, that you could be without Noah Spence, maybe your best pass rusher, without Bradley Roby against this offense, how daunting is that?
It's tough, but that's why you got these other guys, and that's a part of the game that sometimes you don't always account for. But it's a reality, and in the NFL you can go and get John Kitna at 41 years old off of waivers and get him out of teaching with junior high or high school math and pull him onto your team. For us, we can't. We gotta develop that freshman kid like Von Bell that's got to go in there and play. We got to put more weight on a guy like C.J. Barnett and Ryan Shazier and Jamal Marcus and say, hey, if the guy can't go, we got to step up. It's a part of the game. We got to deal with it, and we can't dwell on it. We can't whine and complain about it. Next man up.
On the left-hand side in the middle of the.
And this message could be for any or all three of you. Taj and Sammy get all the attention with Clemson, but when you look at them on film, are there any other players that kind of stand out to you and you say, yeah, you got to watch this guy and this guy and this guy on down the line?
I mean, I'll let him say it, but obviously, like I said, I don't know that we've seen a receiver core as a whole the entire year like this.
Yeah, I agree. Their whole receiving core, are threats. They have another guy that plays, I think, number 1. He's really a good deep threat. Their running back's pretty shifty. Probably one of the shiftier running backs that we've seen. And they have a cast of talented guys.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I was just about to say their running back's a pretty shifty guy, and they have a really good combo of receivers that can do multiple things. So, yeah, I feel like it's going to be one of the better groups that we're going to face this year.
The combination of size and speed is something that is really intriguing, of their entire, probably receiver core, really offensive skill positions in general. The speed of Taj and all those things is what stands out to you. And whether we've seen one like it all year or not, the reality is that 6'5" is 6'5", and 4'4", 4'3", whatever it is fast. And the ability to manage those things is a part of the game.